first using media. So these guys are saboteurs. They're terrorists of consumerism. Ang gusto nila mangyari, talagang ibagsak ang posisyon ng Pilipinas that we are real pirates for their own good. Now, what or how do they make their money? What would be their interest? Obviously, these are the very same people who must invest in all these fake products and all these counterfeit products that are proliferating, in Quiapo, in Green Hills, in 168, in Sampa, Makati Cinema Square, in BF Homes. I mean, shame on these people.
Mm-hmm. I actually have the liberty to divulge the names of these groups later after this break. So
there you go. There you go.
Don't
Dapat
go away.
pahiyain natin
Piracy
para
Watch
malaman na.
We'll be right back.
We now return to Piracy Watch on DZRJ 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines. Here's your host, Sarah Jane Sugitan.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Piracy Watch. And joining me this morning is Mr. Harry Tambuatco. And earlier you've heard Attorney Alan B. Hepty, Deputy Director General of the Philippine Intellectual Property Office, who talked to us about the good news of the Philippines not being downgraded in the U.S. Piracy Watch list. The Office of the U.S. Trade Representative, in its 2010 out-of-cycle review, retained the Philippines in the ordinary watch list, despite numerous efforts by U.S. groups and other private sector groups such as the International Intellectual Property Alliance or IIPA and the Pharmaceutical Research and Manufacturers of America or PhRMA, lobbying to downgrade the Philippines in the priority watch list. This was announced by the U.S. Trade Representative during the Philippines and the U.S. Trade and Investment Facilitation Agreement or TIFA meeting last February 24 in a video conference. The U.S. Trade Representative has recognized the innovative and sustained efforts of the new team at the Philippine Intellectual Property Office to undertake effective enforcement initiatives as well as the cooperation of the law enforcement agencies. So there you have it. We did have a couple of lobbying groups that wanted the Philippines to be downgraded, meaning when you're downgraded in the watch list, it means you move up higher in their monitoring and in everything else. So it's actually a negative if you move up the watch list. And the mere fact that we were retained in the same position as last year's, meaning 2009 position, it means that the Philippines has so far maintained its efforts. And according to the U.S. Trade Representative, they recognize the new efforts being made by the Philippine Intellectual Property Office. Not just the usual, you catch the seller of the pirated goods, the fake goods, and then destroy them, diba? Not just the usual catch and destroy, but also the other efforts like interagency, intergovernment agency cooperation, the cancellation, the move to cancel the U.S. visa of mall owners. Yan. So for all of you listening who know of or is a mall owner and you have tenants or lessees who sell pirated goods inside your mall or your premises, please do watch out. You are you have responsibility to enforce intellectual property rights. Otherwise, the U.S. will not issue you or even cancel your existing visa to the U.S. And aside from that, the local government, the mayor, for example, in the city or location where you operate in, will cancel your business permit. So these are very serious sanctions. And obviously, the Philippine Intellectual Property Office is also very serious about enforcement and respect for intellectual property rights. Before the break, I was discussing with Harry that there were efforts against the IPO and the other government agencies like the Optical Media Board, the Bureau of Customs, the NBI, the police, of course, who have time and again since been organized in 2005 in order to not just slash and burn fake goods, but also to make sure that they arrest people responsible and ensure accountability. Kaya lang ang problema po dyan, nawawala yung evidence or the case gets settled out of court. Ayan. So, intellectual property is still a private right. Para po yung real property, you have a piece of land, parcel of land, or you have a cell phone, personal property, nawala, sinoli ko, So, nagkaayos tayo, wala ng kaso. So, ganun din po yung, kumbaga, same way with intellectual property, which is nevertheless a form of private property. Hindi pa siya human right na like for example, kung murder or violation of human right, talagang it's the state that goes after, that prosecutes the accused But when it comes to private property, you watch out for your own.
Yeah, attorney, going back to that situation, I find it laudable and a compliment to you and the IPO office with Rick Blancaflor at the helm. All his efforts, innovative as they are, going through the visas and going through the mall owners. But parang kinukulang pa rin tayo ng implementation. Ang nangyayari nga, like you said, nawawala evidence. So, pag nawawala evidence, corruption. The bureaucracy, kailangan, like Alan Hepty was saying on your interview, you have to go through the norms of getting a court order, diba, before you can raid or check. I mean, here it's very blatant. It's very how would you say it? It's aggravated situations like the Ortigas area. And I think it's owned by the Ortigas in Green Hills.
Green Hills.
Alam mo,
Notorious.
matagal na yan, notorious. Hindi na kaya nakakahiya sa mga pamilyang apelido mo Ortigas, tapos kayo ang leaseholder doon, kayo you lease out places to. I don't think people understand when people peddle or when retailers peddle counterfeit and especially against intellectual property. There's no safeguard for property. Ang nangyayari, this is what you call in consumerism, the actual terrorists by the day. These are the ones that attack the business and the business scenario as a whole. What happens is we fall prey to these terrorists because that's what else can we call them, because they steal products, they counterfeit. Marami nga dyan, they're known to be mga Muslim pa. Yun ang sinasabi nila. How the Muslims got involved in that or why they're trading that or how they can get away with blatantly, openly, and with total disregard to what is lawful and unlawful. And yet, meantime, City Hall sits back, tapos nagbubulag-bulagan. I mean, alam ng publiko, alam po naman natin, lahat sa lahat kayo nakikinig, alam naman natin we all fall prey to counterfeit products and we fall prey to it. But if I'm not mistaken, we go down and buy these products simply because of its price. Yes, but do we really buy these Louis Vuittons and Chanels because
on a
we
day-to-day
need?
basis?
Yeah, do we improve our image wearing them? Fake naman yan I mean, do we enjoy walking around being fake? Maybe maganda yung design, that's why hinahabol mo. Maybe the least they can do is start taking out the tags that say the brand titles, not the very least. But either way, counterfeit is basically stealing. Ang pagnanakaw ng isang produkto at galing sa iba na hindi sa iyo, that doesn't make you less, it doesn't make it a lesser crime. You are part of it. Magnanakaw ka rin kasi namimili ka. Ganun din sa pelikula. I mean, how much, for example, in the movie industry, we have ruined the industry from 500 films a year now down to 40, 50 at most. It's sad because the industry has been going down really, really fast. Why? Paano naman kikita mga producer, mga investor, mga director kung binibili mo sa 20 pesos o 5 sa isang daan, bibili mo sa Quiapo. Yung mga tao dyan sa Quiapo, they think they're doing themselves, they're doing commerce. Pero the guys buying naman, kala nila nakakatipid sila. Pero in reality, you're ruining the industry. Now, what concerns me is what Hepty was saying when you were talking to him. I was listening to both of you. Sinasabi niya na may mga naglalabi using media. Maybe we can reach out to media. Mahiya naman ang media kung yan ang gagawin nyo. Sabagay, we know about envelopmental media. You pay and then these guys go after, or what they call ACDC. Attack, collect, defend, collect. So, I guess those in media that do harm to the country as a whole, because we should all be involved in nation building, not nation destruction. We don't want to be Egypt. We don't want to be Libya. We don't want to be these countries that are falling apart. I don't know about you. I only have one country, and I have no intentions of replacing it. But when I do see terrorists in capitalism, in consumerism, as my friend Frank Grego puts it, mercantilism, di ba? Ang ganda ng mga words eh. Alam mo, when you see these terrorists, because there's no other word for them, mga magnanakaw yan. Now, ladies and gentlemen, kung kayo mga nakikinig, no, you gotta remember, one part of it is the seller. Of course, together with the seller are all these, what do you call this? These terrorists who import illegally, di ba?
Yes.
Oh, mga smuggler. You know, they have all the bad names. Tax evader, di ba? I call them terrorists, di ba? These are all modern day terrorists in everyday life that we see. When you see them and they're selling, when you see them in Quiapo and when you see them in Green Hills, you see them in BF Home selling, when you look at their eyes, you call them terrorists because that's what their titles are. But don't forget, when you buy, you are consuming what they call the trade. You are part of the problem pag namimili ka. Of course, it's hard for us to say, wag na muna, bibili na lang ako worth 1,000. No, wag ka na bumili ng 1,000 kasi ito, 30 pesos lang yun, 1,000 sa mga movies, for example.
Or CDs. And
Di, ang gawin mo dyan, wag mo na bilhin. Kung di mo kaya yung 1,000, di wag ka bumili. Well, you know, sa ibang bayan naman, they don't watch all the new movies like you and I do in this country. Grabe. But really, we are part of the problem because we consummate the other side. Kung walang namimili, wala namang magbibente. Kung wala namimili, wala namang mga smuggler. Kung wala namimili, hindi naman nila gagawin na ipipake nila yan eh. Di ba? Yun ang problema eh. So, maybe that's another point. But kudos to the new IPO head and the management that they are quite serious in
Very
going after this.
serious.
Oh, now, all we need now is a
maybe police power, as what
Police,
Attorney Hepty was saying. Walang police power ang IPO.
Yan.
If you want to confiscate, you want to arrest someone due to...
yung sinasabi niya 205 na on the chair nakaupo ang IPO head. Nawala na yun, ano?
the EO still exists.
Pero
the
hindi na
executive order
nasusunod.
still exists. No, the National Committee is still standing. National
The
Committee on Intellectual Property.
Pero walang police power yung National Committee.
NCIPR. No, it's more of a policy body. Pero it's an interagency effort. I mean, it's chaired by the Intellectual Property Office, pero ang members po nun, lahat government agencies din.
Di dapat siyang kaya sa legislatura na lang. Let's get these congressmen to work. I mean, give IP the power so hindi ka pwedeng magreklamo. Sasabihin mo, we want to be out of the watch list. At the same time, hindi mo naman tinutulungan. Ano ba namang klaseng... Parang sinabi mo, biyahe ka ng Baguio, ayaw mo naman bigyan ng pera pang gasolina. Hindi naman pwede. It's half-baked. So maybe, until this is passed and IP is given that power, maybe it's fault of Congress. And that's why we are in this situation. We have the proliferation of fake products all over the country. And it's blatant. It's terrible. Mahiya naman sana yung Ortigas family ng Green Hills. Mahiya naman yung mga may-ari ng
168.
168.
Yan. Makati's...
Nag-advertise pa yan sa TV, yung 168.
Cinema Square.
Cinema Square.
Yeah.
Ang may-ari niyan,
And do
media
we
yan,
even-
may-ari niyan. So, yung
Oh.
government power pa yan.
Yes, and it really, what struck me in what you said is, we really want to be sporting fakes, walking around the street in a fake LV or buying fake? I mean, is
Ewan
it
ko, sa
something
probinsya, nakikita ako sa Pangasinan, naglalakad ako sa, bino mo sa Bolinao, yung mga probinsya na talaga sa mga fish area. Ba, suot-suot, mga Harry Hill figure ba yun, di ba?
Alam ba nila fake
Oo,
yun?
naglalakad doon, naka-Chanel eh. Believe nga ako, tapos nangingisda. I mean, tama ka, puro fake.
Join us in the conversation. Call us up at 897-8374 or 895-4460. Piracy Watch will be right back.
We now return to Piracy Watch on DZRJ, 810 AM, the voice of the Philippines. Here's your host, Sarah Jane Sugitan.
All right, welcome back to Piracy Watch. Do call us up here at the studio. It's 897-8374 and 895-4460 for your insights or your comments on whether we want a fake-free Philippines.
Na, alam ko na, attorney, ganito yan eh. I think our morals, our values are totally in disconnect and disorder. You see, the problem here is when our aspirations reach so high that we want we want to, how do you say, promote counterfeit. Parang ganito yan eh. Gusto mo mag-Chanel na bag o Chanel na pantalon o damit. Hindi mo naman abot kaya, may kamahalan.